I'm gonna unmute, hoping that everyone can hear us out there. All right. Hello, everyone. This is Chuck Tironi, Reading Conservation Administrator. This meeting will be conducted in person and remote format consistent with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, which further extend the COVID-19 measures regarding remote participation in a public meeting until June 30th, 2027. Please note that not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. This agenda includes those matters which can be reasonably anticipated to be discussed at tonight's meeting. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. Material are available at the Conservation Division page under Projects by Year. Brian Bowe, the Commission Chair, will facilitate this meeting. Please note that we will have a public comment period at the end of each hearing. Each vote taken during tonight's meeting will be conducted by roll call. We'll begin with a roll call attendance. And Brian, can you review tonight's agenda and take the roll call attendance?
Okay, I'll do the roll call first. By the way, is Chirag online? Just checking.
I will look. Yep. So he's being let in right now. Well, he was in.
Yes, now I can. Yeah.
So Chirag, we're doing the roll call. Can we start with you?
Okay. Chirag Stalekar, member present.
Walter Talbot, member present.
Michelle, member present.
Rick Keel, member present.
Martha Moore, Vice Chair present.
Joe?
Joseph Fleury, Associate Member present.
Brian Bowe, Chair present. Okay, I will review the agenda and note that we are starting at 7:05. So first is a minor plan change to the Town Forest Committee, followed by a continuation of 281 Main Street, which is an NOI. And then next on the agenda is Zero Track Road. That, however, has already been continued, so there'll be no discussion beyond just noting that. Next is 125 Forest Street. This is a meeting, open a meeting for an after the fact determination of applicability. Followed by Oakland Road and Birch Meadow, which in the online notes is DOT, Mass DOT. This is open a public meeting on an RDA. That's it for our hearings tonight. We then have some discussion and vote items. Primary one is a certificate of compliance request for 1153 Main Street. Some old new business. There's a little public service announcement that I will get to. And then a reminder on the second annual Green Communities Garden Party at the library, Friends and Family Day reminder. And that is it.
So Brian, I'm gonna start the recording now, so don't get startled.
I would never.
Sometimes it's pretty loud.
You can repeat it.
Recording in progress.
Okay, before we get to the first hearing, on a more personal note, Ms. Martha Moore is a grandmother as of
this morning.
That's it, no more personal conversation. All right, the first hearing is the minor plan change for the Town Forest Committee. I will read the blurb. Jeff, if you want to come up, but let me read it first. Open a public meeting on a minor plan change filed by Town Forest Committee pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, the Reading Wetland Protection Bylaw, Section 7.1. Proposed herbicide used for invasive species management to treat invasive plant species within a town forest, specifically on the backside of the hill to the left of the new trail connecting Lot 5 to Town Forest. The proposed treatment method would involve foliar spraying using a backpack sprayer application to be performed by a licensed applicator. The application and plans can be viewed on the Conservation Division page under current project, Assessors Map 26, Lot 02. Jeff, can you introduce yourself?
Jeff Lamson, I'm the chair of the Town Forest Committee, and we do have a quorum. This is a posted meeting for the Town Forest Committee as well, so I'm just gonna formally call that to order. We're not as fancy as you all, though. We don't do roll call votes, so. meetings.
Whatever you normally do that.
All right, so I'm putting up on screen the map that we're working off of to use the $50,000 that was allocated at the November town meeting for this fiscal year to the town forest, specifically for the management of invasive species. We also have several $1,000s from our select board funding, and all of those remaining dollars are going to go towards this year's push. Might be a little challenging to see up there, but there's maybe I can zoom in. Does it allow that? The real area in question, just to give you an overview of where we're at, the lot that you all manage, the new parking area, is here, this P symbol. And if you walk up that new trail, cross over the gas pipeline, sort of take a left. So area 2601 is our base bid. That's entirely glossy buckthorn. That will be the first and foremost location in the forest that we're targeting. Lessons learned from the past is that we're not actually having a lot of success with herbicide application on glossy buckthorn. That's written into our scope of work document for our potential vendors, that we are heavily preferring that they use manual removal methods everywhere, and only in places where they get specific authorization from a representative of the town, which will most likely be Mr. Mike Hessman, the Assistant DPW Director. Will they use the cut and dab methodology there? If you're out in the forest and you want to see an example of why, I'd encourage you to visit Area 2610, which was managed a few years ago and heavily was cut and dab, and it is now predominantly regrowing sprouts off of large stumps that are firmly in the ground. So it's really proving to be a challenge. But all the areas that you see on the map are the ones that we're hoping to target this year, with a caveat that we did not map because we know our $50,000 is not going to cover essentially the entire eastern half of the forest. There's plenty of buckthorn out here, but none of those areas have been forested, meaning we didn't remove any red pines out there. So it's kind of our secondary priority. First, we want to get after the places we've intervened on to date and make sure that we're setting up the ecosystem for a good recovery and not just let it get taken over by invasives. So the major change and the reason that we're here tonight is really area 2602. So back to, we've crossed the gas pipeline, we've kind of gone down the hill, taken the right. 2602 is predominantly swallowwort. This is a new species, not new to the forest, but a species that we'd like to start getting after. And this area is a little bit of a test bed, but also an area that we want to get ahead of, because right now it's just a carpet of swallowwort. And the recommended treatment plan for that is that foliar application with a sprayer. You know, it's just such a large area. It's not possible to dig up all the roots. That would cause a tremendous amount of impact on the soil and things like that. And I know, Chuck, you did a walk out there with Mike Kessman and had some recommendations.
Sorry, I didn't hear you. You said we wanted to know what I thought.
Yeah, I know you had given some specific guidance about where the foliar application could apply based on the topology and the berms and all that.
Yeah, so this location is next to a disturbed area. It's the upper parking area, and all that material is disturbed. And the path is down the hill, and it's that hill from that parking area that comes down into the path. But maybe everyone, and then down into the path, and the path, as you can see it on the screen, has a berm on the other side protecting the wetlands that are over there. So I do think this area is a good area to treat and to consider herbicides because it has a natural erosion control and buffer control, limit of work area. They seem to be mostly on the disturbed side of the path.
That's a question. So you said this area is the.
2602.
Not 2601.
2601 is already in a bid and it's already been approved. Is that correct?
Yeah, my understanding is that the forest is already covered under the previous plan for all of the buckthorn work. It's the
This is just new.
change for using foliar spray for the swallowwort in 2602.
So once you finish your.
I'm just saying that I also agree that this is a very safe area to, have licensed applicators, and they will be monitoring wind and wind speed and all that. And they're completely in charge of the application. This is a good area to spray because of, if you're gonna kill anything behind it, it's probably something that the DPW picked up somewhere else in town. It's kind of like their, dumping area for material and gravel and things like that.
Okay, so my question, and you all have your chance in a second, is 2602, you say is a good place. In your discussion, you're talking about 2601 as well. Are you planning to do spraying there as well?
No, 2601 is almost all buckthorn.
All right, so you're just talking about it in passing.
I was just giving a kind of general overview.
Good.
The map, so I should have done a better job here. The green dots are buckthorn, the blue dots are swallowwort. These reddish dots are honeysuckle. And then there are a couple of places like right here. Sorry, the zoom is not working very well.
That's fine, Jeff. I just, because you were talking about 2601, I get the impression that you were talking about that in regard to this change, and you weren't, so that's good. Okay, any questions from the commission?
I do. What do you think the percent cover in that area is of swallowwort compared to other species?
95%. Yeah, it's just a carpet. And then, as Brian alluded to, if you look up 5 degrees, you're gonna see it change to Japanese knotweed, and it just goes up the hill. It's a huge population of knotweed, but that is DPW land. It's not town forest land.
Okay, and do you have any plan for replanting that area with something that's not swallowwort so that it doesn't just come back swallowwort again?
Potentially. We've had 2 in a year highly successful Arbor Day planting events. And the trees that we planted this year look fantastic so far. And that's been a very large conversation about replanting as well. We don't have any specific plans for this area at this point, but it would be a good candidate for next year's event.
And would you be putting trees there or would you be putting ground cover since the swallowwort is more ground cover than tree?
Yeah, we don't have a specific plan at this point, but that's also been part of the conversation, is branching out unintended to not just trees, but also shrubs and things like that.
Do you have the funds for it all, for the replanting in the future?
So that's also been a great conversation, right? Is how do we fund the town forests moving forward? What we've been doing for about 6-8 years now is going to town meeting every fall and asking for the money as kind of project plans. There's also the select board funding that we get. And then there's also the Scouts have a Trees for Reading fund, and there's a few $1,000s left in that that we can also tap into. Also working on updating our forest management plan right now, which will keep us eligible for grants for additional resources.
And if the CPA passes in November, you could probably get CPA funding to help with that as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Is just one quick question. So in terms of staging for the treatment work, are you guys just going to be approaching from that upper lot, from the compost area, or
Yeah, we let our vendors drive on the fire roads right up to their work sites.
So my question, first question, what herbicide in particular are you going to be using?
Give me a moment to read what Mike wrote in the,
I don't think he said anything in the little blurb that Chuck put online. I don't think.
I'm not sciencey like this. I think I got a C in high school chemistry, so. Triclopyr-based herbicides and glyphosate-based herbicides.
We would need to have you folks submit a data sheet on that. And we'll need some time to look at it and research. I mean, I can't tell you off the top of my head what that does or doesn't do. So I would want to have some time to look it up and learn more about it. And I will say that that blurb that we have that got posted really is much less than we typically get for a project. I realize this is not the typical normal project, but it is pretty much a lightweight. An example is the herbicide information is missing. Chuck, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that is this the only area that you're proposing work? I see 2603 that looks kind of the same color, or to me, it looks like the same color.
My understanding 2603 was that you had walked with Mike and were not in favor of treating that area because it's so close to the wetland.
That was gonna be my comment if you told me you were treating it. So there's a vernal pool right there in that little horseshoe area, and you are pretty close. I'm not in favor of treating it with backpack sprayers or cut and dab for sure, but willing to listen to another suggestion or some other, yeah, something else that came up.
Yeah, so it's not in the list of places to treat that went out to the vendors actually today. And of course, 2602 is contingent upon approval here. I think we would love to have this conversation. My question is always, is it better to let the invasives grow, or is it better to introduce some herbicides? And I think there's a balance there, and I'm sure there's always alternative methods as well. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's just that triclopyr is and it's just causes havoc on invertebrates. So you don't want to be close in those areas. That's why I was saying that if you talk to your applicator and they had a method, I think there's cut and dab, there's backpack spraying, and then there's like a buckthorn blaster. But all that is just a small bottle with a sponge on the end. And so what happens when you cut and dab, the dab sometimes rolls off. It doesn't stick. You have to use some sort of surfactant to get it to stick. It's like soap. And so those things happen automatically, but it still spills on the ground. And so that area is really close. So I think if it's not part of this conversation, if you could have a conversation with your applicator and just say, what would they suggest? They often have a lot of experience in these areas.
Part of the forest management plan that I referred to, and actually gets us eligible for even more DCR funding, is if we include an invasives plan as part of that. So we're soliciting quotes or proposals for that now, including that optional add-on, which we would be looking for very specific guidance on things like that in this specific area. What's the recommended approach? Do you have anything to add to that, Kathy?
Yeah, we're.
Excuse me, can you step up and introduce yourself? I get you on camera.
Goodness.
And give your name and address.
Right. Hello, I'm Catherine Saversky. I live at 44 Chapel Hill Drive. I'm on the Town Forest Committee, and I've started the project of right now we're getting quotes from foresters. We've met with the DCR representative, Chris Pryor, and he's given us the initial information to ask the right questions, the questions that you're asking. I've talked to different foresters, and some have said there is no use fighting buckthorn unless you have an herbicide. We've been doing the manual approach and we can see the difference with the two different approaches. So with this new forest management plan, we're gonna get information from the different contractors we're approaching as to what methods they use, what methods they have experience with. So with that data, we'll get a lot more information even before we get a quote selected to present. But that will go over mapping all of these, finding out how they're growing and moving, identifying different areas. And there's a great part of this project involving the whole town and get them out there enjoying the forest and seeing what's happening and trying to get the younger generation, more high schoolers and less white hairs, trying to figure out how to treat the forest and keep it going. Because the invasive species are spreading rapidly. So there needs to be more done than what we've been doing. And our previous plan expired during the COVID days. So we haven't had an aggressive approach since then or tried a distinctly new approach. But with the professionals, they'll help us.
Thank you.
Sure, just one follow-up question.
Of course.
So Jeff said that with buckthorn, you were moving away from herbicide treatments, and you just said that you want to move back to it.
I'm new to the committee
Yeah.
and I'm listening to the webinars on forest management, and that's the information I'm getting. The town forest before me has tried the herbicide and it did do some work, but I don't know the specifics of which one was used then and which ones the foresters I'm speaking to are referring to. I'm on getting the plan, not really selecting an herbicide at this point. You can see in the town forest right now where the stumps are that have been treated. And it's just, it looks like roots are growing up. There's just so many more coming out. And that's because the root system underneath, whether we see the plant on top growing or not, is still growing. So until we get a control over it, it's going to keep spreading. So again, I'm new and I will find more information regarding best practices, but that's not for now. And we need to find a way to stop the growth before it becomes a more expensive project. Or if we don't stop it at this kind of level, then the next way to stop an invasive is to dig up everything. And I don't think that that's anyone's choice in this circumstance.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Which reminds me, by the way, can people be sure to sign the sheet in my back left of the room? Just so it helps with our minute taking.
Absolutely.
Actually, this is back to Jeff, I guess, unless he passes off to you. But you had mentioned that there's lots of knotweed at the top of the hill coming down. And you were just mentioning about essentially not throwing good money after bad. So if you do manage to succeed here and you got and the other invasive just marching down the hill, isn't that a losing battle? Is that a broader plan?
The compost area is going to need to be managed, just like Birch Meadow Drive needs to be managed. There's crazy amount of knotweed that I see every day when I drop my kids off at school too there. Jurisdictionally, we're focused on what the property lines say are town forest and what is DPW. As a resident, I would fully support my tax dollars going towards, treating the town compost as well, but as a committee member, I can only focus on what.
You talked to DPW, Mike Hessman, whoever, about coordinating your efforts with something on their end?
Yeah, we fall under DPW, as you know, so we talk to them a lot about it. I think they have a lot of conflicting priorities and we all know what's happening with the finances in town right now, so I don't see it as throwing good money after bad money. I said in our last meeting, I plan on, treating invasive species myself in the town forest with manual labor until I die, right? It will continue forever. And we're making amazing progress. If you go to Area 3, you remember that terminology by the council ring that has had multiple years of repeat manual removal of buckthorn, some targeted herbicide, replanting. It's amazing. It is so cool to watch how that area is transforming. 2602 for us, truthfully, is trying to, we're shifting chapters in the Town Forest Committee. We're not focused on removing red pines anymore. We're about restoring the ecology right now. 2602 for us is another learning opportunity. It's how can we get after this area? How can we try to control this, gather data points over years and see how it goes?
Did you have anything else before I jumped in there, Chuck?
No, it is a learning experience. I think that they've hired some of the best, I've heard of the 2 companies that they've used, the 3 companies that they've used in other towns, and they're using them also. So I do think that they win a lot of bids, and there's a lot of institutional knowledge there. So I just think that, you can't solve, glad you keep trying, and I'm not surprised that it hasn't been solved on the first go round. So, I just, the places that they are using the treatment are appropriate because we reviewed them and agreed to them, so.
All right, any last thoughts from commission members? Shirag, any thoughts from you? I can't see your hand up.
No questions.
Okay. Then the point before us is whether to approve a minor plan change. Have a motion to approve a minor plan change.
So moved.
Walter Talbot seconds, Walter Talbot approves.
Excuse me. Oh, my mistake. I need to close this first, right?
Okay, I move to close the hearing on Town Forest.
Walter Talbot seconds, Walter Talbot approves.
Chirag Staliker in favor.
Tim Michelle in favor.
Rick Q in favor.
Martha Moore in favor.
Brian Bowe in favor. Okay, now can I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve the minor plan change for this area 2602.
Walter Talbot seconds, Walter Talbot approves.
Chirag Staliker in favor.
Tim Michelle in favor.
Rick Q in favor.
Martha Moore in favor.
Brian Bowe in favor. Okay, thank you.
Motion to adjourn the Town Forest Committee meeting. In a second. All those in favor?
Jeff, can you be sure to send Chuck the data sheet?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We'll speak to Jeff. He has me on the attendance list.
I can just, I'll chat with him.
Yeah.
Jeff, I'll call you afterwards. I think we're gonna have to switch with representative from conservation.
Today,
So I'll
this
take over
morning.
kind of attending your meetings. So I'll talk to you afterwards. For you.
Sounds good.
Either way, I'll contact you.
Okay, the next hearing is 281 Main Street. If you remember, this is the one where we authorized the third-party review. Chuck, any updates on that?
Yeah, so they accepted the third-party review from LEC and Horsley Witten. We're waiting for a check to come in. Andrew from Goddard Environmental reached out to me yesterday and said that the check's on its way. And they want to continue till June 10th.
June 10th. Okay, can we motion to continue to June 10th?
I move that we continue the hearing on 281 Main Street to June 10th.
Walter Talbot seconds, Walter Talbot approves.
Chirag Staliker in favor.
Tim Michelle in favor.
Rick Q in favor.
Martha Moore in favor.
Brian Bowe in favor. Okay. Moving right along to Zero Track Road. The applicant has already requested that we continue on June 10th, so we have nothing to do there. We don't need to vote again. And that brings us to 125 Forest Street. I will read the blurb before we get going. Open the public meeting for an after-the-fact determination of applicability filed by Frank Capone pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and/or the Reading Wetland Protection Bylaw, Section 7.1. Installation of a gravel driveway 10 feet by 120 feet with parking area as per plan. All work is within a 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. The application and plans can be viewed during regular business hours at the Town Hall Conservation Office, 16 Lower Street. and on the Conservation Division page on the current projects. Location 125 Forest Street, Assessors Map 39, Lot 99. Anybody here to speak?
Frank, why don't you come up to the podium and
Introduce yourself,
introduce
please.
yourself? Yeah. Oops.
Home 125 Forest Street.
So where we left off at the last meeting is Frank explained how we got here.
Yeah.
We understand that there's a gravel driveway that extends from his normal, regular driveway along the right-hand side of his house. It's up against wetlands in some areas, and then some other areas it's up against neighboring yards. And it passes the wetland area, and then it takes a sharp left and to form two parking spots. This whole gravel driveway is about 120 feet long and kind of ends off in a upland area. We also know that there was a sizable portion of this driveway, this gravel driveway, that was built on top of an existing foundation. And that was dug up at our site visit where we went out there, and Frank provided pictures of the foundation that was in the ground. So I think we know what we're talking about, where it is, how close it is to the resource area. Might be 15 to 20 feet. We were out there measuring in those locations. So I think now we have to discuss the project, to kind of talk about what's needed. Is this appropriate spot for this driveway? Is this something that can be approved altogether? Is this something that could be approved with conditions, or does it have to be denied? I think that's what's in front of the commission. So you take it up from there, but it's, it is I'm not gonna plead or anything like that. I'm just saying
It's pervious.
gravel driveway, pervious. I went there once before. We were looking at trees. This is well before the driver was out there. It seemed to me that it was a very rough and unkept backyard. It's turned into a natural lawn, or not a lawn now. So there's been a lot of improvements, and I guess the driveway was one of them according to the applicant, but that was just within our buffer zone. So I'll stop talking.
So I didn't ask you to. Stop talking. So any questions from the commission? Hang on a second.
I guess my biggest concern, and I mentioned it at our last hearing, was possibility of oil, gasoline, fluid spill in that area. So if we approve this, I would like to see a condition that nothing is parked in that back corner that is within the 35 feet of the wetland, so that we can, and I'd say nothing, I mean, nothing with an engine, like a boat trailer would be fine, but a vehicle is not appropriate in that area that's closest to the wetland, so that we avoid oil spills into the wetland.
How is it being used today? Like, what
I
are you?
have a trailer that I use as a shed.
Okay.
And then I have my plow back there and some wheelbarrows. That's all. And I keep a wagon for the take care of all the grass and leaves and stuff.
Sounds like
But-
none of those have an engine. You're delivering them with a truck and then moving the truck back away from the wetland.
All vehicles are mostly on the hot topped area above.
Anybody else?
Did some extra, I'm just looking at the map, compared to the site visit, did some extra area get added to the 25 and 35 foot zone? Because I thought right where we see that circular thing in the corner was where the 25 and 35-foot area was, but now I see some more area added to it. Like, do we go by this? Chuck, I guess this is a question more for you. Do we go by this plan, or do we go by what we had sort of looked at the other day?
I know, we verify, boots on the ground, so we would
Yeah.
go with, what we
Right.
verified out there.
Okay, because this certainly looks as if a large portion of the driveway is at least in the 35-foot zone, right? If I look at page 6 of the application, so.
So are you saying that, if the driveway's in the 35-foot area, there needs to be a request for a variance? Is that where you're going with this?
I guess so. I mean, it depends on how we look at this, or which map we use for determining this, right? Because our boots on the ground view was that lower sort of arch of was not present, right? Like,
I think he's just a little confused because when we first looked at it, the GIS map did show it a little bit more further out. But when we
Yeah.
got out there, it only reflected a corner of that pathway, which was where that circle is. I think that's where he's going. But we
Yeah,
talked at
exactly.
the last meeting that the GIS isn't always correct.
No, the GIS is never correct. It's,
Actually, we're not allowed to use it.
Yeah,
as official.
I'm
final
not even being funny. It's, they put a disclaimer at the front. It's just, it's a shot from a
Guide.
plane 30,000 feet in
It's a
the
tool.
air, and
Not
yeah.
definitive.
Because like, if you just look at this picture, right, like the right where the boat is, if you draw like a latitude there's like a bulge of the wetland area, because of which that 35-foot area looks bigger. It almost is covering the whole driveway, right? But I think what we had seen was that doesn't necessarily accurately represent the actual wetland. So if we don't use that lower area, then I think it's just the corner that we are concerned about, which is what we had determined last time.
Do any other points? Or questions?
So I think, Shirag, we agree with you that we're just looking at the corner, the
Okay.
upper right corner, and we're not using the wetland lines that are on this map.
Okay, got it.
So from my perspective, this is an after the fact. And so
It's the only one we have.
we're not going to worry about the fact that it's there right now. The question is how do you want to handle it? As Chuck laid out the options, we can approve it. We can add some conditions to it. We take into account that it is a gravel driveway, so it is pervious. So if we're going to have a structure out there, it's not the worst one to have. And so to me, it's much more about approving it and having some conditions to help mitigate for the fact that the driveway is there. I know that you have done some plantings, even in this picture, which is not definitive. We can see some plants along the side of the driveway. From my perspective, a condition will be that you need more plantings. I also would like to see you, like Martha said, try and have some discipline and not park things out there that would lead. Try and park as far away as you can, still using the driveway, still having it out there. Just when you can use the L portion of it more than far right top, that would be better from my perspective. But to me, the condition for sure is more plants. We have to decide, if you guys agree with that, we have to decide how many. From my perspective, I would suggest that you come back to us with a plan here and that we would like some plants. Come back with plans for the plants, showing us where you would put them, how many and what species. So I've said that. Any questions, comments?
Are there any bollards out there for the markers of the wetland? I mean, I know it would be in the driveway.
I don't think so.
But there's nothing on.
Yeah, I don't believe so.
How about the 25-foot markers? Were they?
Yeah, that's what he just asked.
Okay, got it.
I don't remember seeing any out there. And this property has been there for a while, so it hasn't been delineated recently, so they wouldn't have been added.
Do you have a ballpark of what you're looking for plants?
I hesitate to say just because we're not supposed to design. So I think it needs to be enough to make up for that much structure in our two zones, the 35-foot no structure and close to the 25-foot no disturb. So from my perspective, that's telling me a fair number. Yes, I know that's vague. I'll leave it up to you to determine what a fair number is, but come up with a plan, nothing fancy. You don't need an engineer, but a good sketch. Figure out where and have next to it a legend saying what kind or kinds you would have. That's if we approve this. I know I'm jumping ahead a little. You're gonna say something, I can tell.
Yeah. I was just wondering, you said approve, so you're gonna approve it and then ask for the plan to come in afterwards? Because I'm thinking maybe you should review the plan if you're gonna ask for a plan.
So what I'm thinking, from a precedent perspective, we have had cases where we have approved it with the condition that a plan comes in that you would approve. So we don't have to meet again and we can move on with it. So that was my thinking. I don't know, most people have to agree with that, but rather than delaying it and having Frank come back again just for us to say, we approved the plan, if we approve the existence of the driveway and have some conditions, and he produces a plan and gives it to you, and it's acceptable plan, I would say that's okay, my opinion.
I would be okay with the project as is. Walter, at the last meeting, you told us that there weren't really any signs of erosion at this site, correct? I'd be okay with the project as is, maybe half a dozen shrubs, create a barrier.
That's why I avoided saying half a dozen or 2 dozen. Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, Chuck, maybe you should take a walk by one more time. Now that, because when you were there, there was winter, there was no vegetation because of the winter. But if you see it now, there's a lot.
And Frank, was there anything removed for that construction of the driveway, or was it just grass?
There used to be a tennis court. That's what that foundation is.
Okay.
It was 3 courts in
Okay.
the back.
So there was
yeah.
no like existing foliage or any ground
No,
cover?
it was always, hardly anything grew until we threw grass seeds down.
Mhm.
you know.
I can't see raking up all the gravel, so I agree with Martha. Park anything that's lubricated away and put in some shrubs. I'm happy.
We're happy that you're happy. I'm happy.
If you guys are asking for shrubs, they should be natives,
Yes, oh, yeah,
not whatever you find at the nursery.
yeah, I mean, that would be part of the
Which-
conditions.
Okay.
Okay, any more comments from the commission?
Martha, you mean, you said not anything that you find at the nurseries. You can find native shrubs at the nursery. Those are fine. but-
Right.
Well,
but
but you mean.
The other,
Yeah,
is a-
specifying native shrubs, not,
yeah, cultivars or non-natives.
right, yeah, not like if they still sell them burning bush, for example, you know? So
Anything on
people
the
were saying
Massachusetts
shrubs, but
do
I
not
want
plant
them to,
list.
if they're gonna be asking for shrubs, I want them to specify
A
native
native
shrubs.
non-cultivar. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not to design, but what's the limit of like the number of shrubs you'd be looking for this area? Like, what is the precedent for determining, like, I don't wanna tell Frank, like, you
I don't
need
think
30
they do,
shrubs.
you
know,
don't do
something.
it that way. I mean, it's,
That's what, okay, that's what I'm.
you would, you would, I think that you would say, this is the area that's close. Or when people have usually said, oh, the house is like 40 feet long, so you have to plant a 40-foot bed, or you have to reestablish 40 feet of bank, or, you know, so I don't expect 120 feet, but I think this closest area might be something where, what we're looking at. It's not like Frank wants to take a site visit with me, talk about what's there now, what can be put in, and we have 8 to 12
How
or
much more
6
can
to
you
12.
get?
Yeah, I mean,
There's a lot
I
of
would
shrub.
think that.
No, some of you have a
really
lot there
the
now, so
only-
how much more are you gonna?
The
plant
only
to make
concern
it-
that you would wanna have is just, you know, having a vehicle or something transitioning into the grassy area, but I don't think it needs to be
You
substantial
would
now.
back up and hit whatever we're gonna plant.
Right, but I don't wanna,
Taken
I don't
into
wanna put an
consideration.
undue burden of like, 20 or.
So I would
40
like to see the
plants.
plant somewhere out around the corner in the back right, if only to define it. To remind people that you don't want to go beyond that. So the act not only is a mitigation, but is a bit of a barrier to anything more going out there.
Or would that just be based on the walkthrough with Chuck, one final walkthrough, that's what you guys are voting on tonight, or for the plan?
Well, I think what we'd be voting on is approving the driveway with a number of plantings. Frank would give us a sketch, a plan with the number of plantings, the placement of the plantings, the species.
Us or Chuck?
You pass it to Chuck, and Chuck will let us know he received it. And if my proposal is that if Chuck thinks it's acceptable, then we would have already accepted it with that assumption, that condition,
I just wanted to
which we
clarify.
have done in the past.
No, I just
No
wanted to
separate
clarify
person.
the ask, so, okay.
Okay, so that's it for our comments. Sir, do you want to come up to the podium, introduce yourself and?
You'll be able to answer my questions on this one. My name's Ed Marchand. I live at 29 Colburn. I don't directly about Frank, but I got the notice and I was curious if you were doing, it was just a driveway for you, or if there's any plan to try to
Excuse me,
access that
excuse
land
me,
that's back there.
can you address the
Oh,
commission?
sorry.
That's fine.
No, if there was plans to access that land behind there for development, because I saw somewhere online a plan that showed it's a conceptual cul-de-sac with two houses.
But when I bought the house, that's what they tried to sell.
Okay, so that's old
Yeah.
too. And then I had also seen another plan that looked like an event space with tables and a stage. It said 145. I just Googled 145.
On
Course.
125.
125, I'm sorry, yeah, no. And that, no, so there's nothing else. Okay, I mean, that's all I wanted to know.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. All right.
All right, nothing else. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to accept the project as is.
So to approve,
Now, when you say as is, you mean not asking to do plans?
Well, that condition comes after the fact, right?
Ah,
Just to approve.
you're right. So first, we should close the hearing, add conditions, and then approve. You are correct. Motion to close the hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing to accept the project as is.
Walter Talbot seconds, Walter Talbot's in favor.
Chirag Sthalekar in favor.
Tim is wrong.
Rick Keel in favor.
Martha Moore in favor.
Brian vote in favor. Okay, now, conditions. A condition is a plan submitted to Chuck, acceptable to Chuck with natives, non-cultivars. Again, I'm leaving an exact number up to you, but you know what we're looking for. And the actual placement, you can propose something. You've heard what some of us are thinking, what I'm thinking, but it's your property, your design. So just a sketch of something, submit to Chuck, and he will take it. from there.
Condition has to be they planted outside 35 foot.
No,
No.
plantings can be anywhere.
It's not a structure.
Can you do it within 25 feet?
That's the zone of native vegetation. We often plant in the zone of native vegetation. 1295 Main Street has a whole bunch of things
Yeah.
planted in the zone of native
If we're
vegetation.
doing something to enhance that zone, that's okay. Just no structures and no disturbance, just
Okay.
because, yeah.
I'm good.
Okay, so where were we? What are the conditions?
So
Well, my condition was no parking of things with engines in that
Back
35-foot
right
zone.
corner, yeah. Okay. Any other question? I'm sorry, conditions? Chuck, did you have anything else that we didn't bring up?
Yeah, I would just say that you would have to, you could only use fertilizer in that area so close to the wetlands for the first year, and it should be slow release, and then not after that.
Did you hear that?
Only fertilizer if needed for the first year, and it should be slow release. And then no fertilizer so close to the wetlands after that.
And 3-year survival of these shrubs.
That's what we would have said if it came to us.
No, what we said is 3 years, 80%. So what we're saying is just planting the bushes is not enough. They need to survive. If they don't survive, they need to be replaced, and the clock starts again when you replace them. And what we're saying is 80% of the plants have to survive for 3 years, or you need to replace. Okay.
80% of the plants, and he's not choosing any trees, but 100% of the trees is usually what we say.
Right, but he's not.
We're not asking for trees.
If you wanted to plant one, that would be great, but it's entirely up to you.
There's a few already.
Yeah, we like trees. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Okay, great motion.
My one other thought is when you're choosing your plants, knowing the deer population in Reading, some survive better than others. And so looking for native shrubs that are less likely to be chewed to the ground by the deer, you're gonna have better luck with your 80% survival. And I hope that Chuck has put the page up on the website that gives some ideas of deer-resistant native plants. So give you a chance at success.
Although I'm sure you could look that up.
I looked it up, there's some plants that.
Yeah.
do well in the morning.
Good. I
Okay.
hate to see people spend money on trees and on shrubs and then they're just nibbled to the ground.
Okay,
Okay,
you have a motion then to approve the RDA after the fact, yeah, after the fact
I
RDA.
move to approve this after the fact request for determination of applicability, which means negative determination, right?
Yeah. That's right.
Is that what we're looking for here?
Yep.
With the conditions listed.
Walter Talbot seconds, Walter Talbot approves.
Chirag Staliker in favor.
Rick Keough in favor.
Martha Moore in favor.
Brian Bowe in favor. Okay, you're all set. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And if you get that plan to Chuck pretty
I will.
quickly, that'll be helpful.
Have a good night.
Okay, you too. Okay. Oakland Road and Birch Meadow. Is there anybody online?
Yeah, Michael Doobie,
Okay, while you let him in, I'll read the blurb.
he's in.
Fair enough, still gonna read the blurb. Open the public meeting on a request for determination of applicability filed by Massachusetts Department of Transportation, Highway Division pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and or the Reading Wetland Protection Bylaw, Section 7.1, for earth excavation, HMA pavement mill, and overlay, full depth pavement, cement, concrete sidewalk, hot mix, asphalt, shared use path, cedar wood trail, drainage upgrades, granite curbing, tree protection, signage, striping, and erosion and sediment control. All work is within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland. The application and plans can be viewed during regular business hours at the Town Hall Conservation Office and on the Conservation Division page under current projects. Assessors map assessors map, NA lot NA.
Hi, Michael. Is there anyone else here with you tonight that I should let into the meeting?
Lily Collins is a Mass Environmental representative. She's on the call.
But you know what, if
I'll let Lily in, but she doesn't have to turn her. She only needs to participate when she, yeah, there you are. Hi, Lily.
So. Okay, Michael, do you want to walk us through the project? Introduce yourself if you haven't already, I forget. You're muted.
Or not. It doesn't say he's muted.
Okay, you're broken.
No, right now we're not hearing you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, 1 second. Don't know what happened. My audio just disconnected.
Oh, we can hear you now.
He's not talking, he's bringing up something on his
Did he say his audio is disconnected?
If you give me 1 second, I'll just join on my phone.
We can hear you.
Sorry about that.
I don't think he can hear us.
Oh, he can't hear us.
That's why you're on the commission here. Pearl Street comes again, it's live again.
That's not for whom the bell tolls.
It's a game on tonight.
Yes.
Can you finish in a half hour?
Depends on whether Michael can get his system going.
We're zooming right along. Tell me about here.
I think it's Karen's fault. I think she jinxed us.
Can everyone hear me?
We can hear you.
All right, sorry about that. I think you could hear me, but I couldn't hear you. So, Chuck, can you allow me to unmute on my phone?
Oh, sure. Let me just do that. I don't, well, I should see a phone number, right? Oh,
I think it should still be my name.
hold on a second.
Got an echo.
See that, there you are. Okay.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, sorry about that. My Bluetooth just disabled the second I started talking, which, you know, seems about right. All right, so I guess I'll start from the top. My name is Michael Doobie. I'm the project manager with TEC. We are the consultant for Mass DOT who is administering this Safe Routes to School project. The MassDOT Safe Routes to School program is a program that encourages infrastructure improvements around schools to improve on pedestrian and bicyclist safety, while also offering traffic calming measures to slow vehicles and prioritize pedestrians through the areas. So this project extends from Longfellow Road in the south to Birch Meadow Drive in the north, and I can probably try sharing my screen. Can you see that?
It's coming up.
Yeah.
Okay, it's
Perfect.
up.
All right. So this is a location map that shows the entire project limits. The map is oriented with the south side on the left and north on the right. Longfellow Road is in the top left and Birch Meadow Drive is in the bottom right. The project extends throughout this entire corridor, which abuts the Reading Memorial High School, and proposes to make infrastructure improvements for pedestrian safety, traffic calming measures throughout this entire stretch. The existing roadway is a paved roadway with parking on both sides and 5-foot sidewalks on either side of the roadway. And what we were looking to do under this project is install a shared use path along the western side of the roadway throughout the entire corridor, install grass buffer strips between that shared use path and the roadway, and then narrow the roadway up to promote slower vehicle speeds and shorten pedestrian crossings along the entire corridor. So I'll just flip through the plans just really quickly. You'll see some of these improvements. We're also proposing upgrades to the sidewalk on the eastern side of the road and just replacing that in kind, bumping out the existing curb line to, again, narrow the roadway. There are minor drainage improvements to just relocate existing drainage structures at the proposed curb line. And that extends through the entire project limits. So there are 4 sheets here. And on the 4th sheet, what we're looking at is the intersection of Oakland Road at Birch Meadow Drive. At this intersection, we are doing work within the 100-foot wetland buffer and riverfront area. There is an intermittent stream as well as bank along the eastern side of Birch Meadow Drive and at the southwest and northwest corners as well. The work within this area includes narrowing up the roadway, resetting curb line, installation of shared use path on all three sides of the intersection, the northern side, the south west and southeast sides, and minor regrading. We'll also be installing new deep sump catch basins where existing catch basins need to be relocated to new curb lines, and sediment and erosion control measures will be installed along this entire stretch in between any excavation work and the wetland areas. It's worth noting that the work that we are showing in the limits of grading are essentially entirely within the existing sidewalk area. So because the curb is getting bumped out, we're not extending impervious or back sidewalk beyond what's already out there today. And in addition, with the extension of the curb line, we're able to introduce more impervious area through grass buffers on each of the quadrants of the intersection. So I think that's the general project scope at this point. The project is at the 75% stage and will be advancing towards the 100% design stage through the MassDOT standard processes. And at this time, we're looking to discuss the request for determination of applicability.
Okay, thank you. Questions, comments from the commission? Joe, do you want to briefly talk about this morning's visit?
Sure, yeah. So we did our site visit on Birch Meadow Drive and Oakland Road at that corner. One of our primary things that we identified was around vegetation management. Specifically, there's a lot of Japanese knotweed along Birch Meadow Drive and Oakland Road, and wanted to know if there's any plan for invasive removal or treatment as part of the scope of the project.
Yeah, so within the limits of excavation and MassDOT projects, we typically carry invasive plant management strategies for within the project. So there are 2 items that are included for any occurrence or where there is invasives impacted or not impacted, but where work is done within areas of invasives. So those will be carried as part of this contract because there are invasives within the project area. I guess that's pretty much it.
And is there any opportunity to extend beyond that project area? So where, I guess my question is, where's the limit for this scope of work on this map here as you get onto, well, not Whittier Road? If you keep going south on this map right now, on Birch Meadow Drive, where's the, okay, the limit's right there. I think that was the main observation that we had while we were out there.
I want to follow up with a back and forth that you and Joe just had. So you are planning on doing some invasive removal as part of this?
So our excavation work as part of this project, if I zoom in on the right side, is limited to about a foot to a foot and a half beyond the proposed back of sidewalk, which is probably about a foot beyond the existing back of sidewalk. So based off that loan of excavation, we're not proposing any clearing. That loan of excavation is kind of outside where the existing vegetation is. But as part of the project, because there is known invasive species, the items for management of those will be carried, and it'd be part of the contractor's responsibilities to develop a plan if they're encountered during excavation activities.
Okay, so 2 points. The first is that in your narrative, it says there will be no clearing of existing vegetation. How does that square with what you just talked about?
Yeah, so that's correct, because we're replacing pretty much the sidewalk in kind, and we're extending into the roadway and not beyond the existing sidewalk. Our limit of excavation is essentially limited to where the existing sidewalk is today.
Okay, now going back to the original point Joe was making, in the screen as it is there right now, on the lower part of it where the two catch, oh, now you're moving on me. The two catch basins on the lower part of the work project, along the road there, that's where the Japanese knotweed is. And when we were there today, we were looking at whether that could be part of the project as a mitigation, would be to remove a lot of that knotweed because it's so prevalent there.
I think it's something we can discuss further with the town. I think not knowing where the limits of that knotweed are, I don't want to commit to kind of extending the limit of services right now.
And I wouldn't be expecting you to get all of it, so you wouldn't need to know the limits. But if there was a piece of it, a certain area that you could eradicate, that would be a plus. I mean, there's a convenient milestone there along the road. There's a telephone pole. I'm going to say 80 feet or so along the road, but sure, if you can talk to the town about that, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, it's the pole labeled UPL5 on your plan. I think your hand is right on it right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that is definitely something we can continue to discuss with the town. I do want to mention that any clearing or excavation work beyond the right-of-way or the town layout in this case will require additional right-of-way, which will require temporary easements for grading. Usually not crazy big deal, but these properties, the ones in the southwest corner or just adjacent to UPL5 and the opposite side of the street, are both restricted through Article 97. So it just adds a little bit of a caveat to additional work in the area.
Okay, well, it's worth a conversation with the town, but be interested in what your answer is. Joe, do you want to say before I jumped in?
No, go ahead.
Any other, Martha?
I've got a couple. I think he's still there.
Yep.
When we were there today, we noticed that overflow high school parking was all the way down on Birch Meadow Drive in the same area that we were parking for our site visit. So, can you tell me how the change in this roadway will affect the number of parking spaces that are along Birch Meadow Drive in this area and all the way along Oakland Road? Are you gonna have more or fewer parking spaces?
Yeah, that's a great question. In general, we are maintaining as much parking as possible while proposing the improvements for pedestrian crossings that really is the impetus of the project. So with that being said, there are a few spots lost. And if I kind of pan over, the reason being for some of the spots is because we're extending the crosswalks so that when people cross the road and kids cross the road from school, they're extended beyond the parked vehicles so traveling vehicles can see them. Those are the locations along the corridor where parking is lost. It's typically 1 to 2 spots at each of those locations. I don't have the number off the top of my head, but I believe the number of parking spots that was lost was around 10 to 15. And I think when we counted it, there were like 115 spots out here. So one of the evaluations when we did this original process was to kind of keep the parking as much as possible, but the safety of the crossings across the street required us to eliminate some of those spots in terms of priority of safety. And I do want to also mention we've been coordinating directly with the town police and fire departments throughout this entire process. I think this project initiated through the town's master planning process back in 2024, and that's what kind of stemmed this into the MassDOT Safe Routes to School program. So we are working with them as well, and we're open to any input and appreciate all the input on this as we go through it.
Okay, so even though on the original diagram, there are parking spaces marked, I think, and now they're not marked, but you're saying any place where you don't have the bump outs where the crosswalks are, that will be parking on both sides of the street.
Correct. Yep. This plan just doesn't show the striping, but I can pull that up if you would like me to.
No, as long as I know that all the way along, both next to the 10-foot shared use path and next to the sidewalk on the opposite side, we'll still have parking. That's what I needed to know. And you are moving the storm drains, but are they still connecting to the same underground storm sewer system that was there in the first place?
Yep. So we will be retaining the existing trunk line going down the roadway, tying all the new catch basins into that trunk line, and all new catch basins will be installed with deep sumps as well, and then inlet protection will be installed during construction for those.
Can I jump in right there?
Yep.
Just because we're talking about the storm drains, what kind of protection are you? So I'm assuming they all discharge into the wetland area across the street. Is that correct? Or do they go into a pipe and they go somewhere else?
That's a great question. There are no outfalls within the limits of work that we have shown. So off the top of my head, I don't know where the exact outfall is for the drain system.
It's not across the street.
No, it's not into the Birch Meadow area because there's an existing culvert under here, but the drainage system doesn't tie into that. So it doesn't fall within our project limits that we have.
How would you characterize the storm drain that's there now? Just a storm drain without a sump?
The existing structures could be, we're not, some of them do have sumps. Some of them are shallow structures to avoid the water, which does run along the western curb line of Oakland Road. So there's a water line under there. So it depends on kind of the location of some of the existing structures. But typically the older structures only had, when they did have sumps, they only had 3-foot sumps, which per the latest regulations, all structures are required to be updated with 4-foot sumps to meet water quality standards.
So I guess I was about to ask the same question Chuck asked, is where does that trunk line go? Would you be able to find out that before our next hearing? So that you know where that water is going that's coming down Oakland Road?
Yeah, I can definitely do that. I can dig into some of our record plans, and if we can't find anything, I know we've been working with several people at the town, and I can reach out to them to see if their GIS has any information as well.
Okay, and
So, I think that where I was heading to, and maybe this will help you not be able to move forward without knowing where they're going. So if we find out that they do discharge into a resource area or into any kind of area that's ponded, was there any discussion about jetting them out prior to, because I think when you put the new sump in there, you're going to you're just gonna start cleaning out some of that structure, and it's all gonna get heading downstream. And if downstream is a resource area, I was gonna ask that it's cleaned out prior to getting those online.
Yeah, that's a great question. As part of all MassDOT projects, we include the cleaning and sediment removal of all structures and pipes within the project limits. A big part of that is because in the past, contractors have complained about not even being able to get into the structures to do what they need to do. So pretty much all MassDOT projects have items for the contractors to clean the structures. So that'll be done as part of the project to make sure that none of that sediment kind of flows all through the outfall.
Is there someone on site, like a resident engineer or something like that, to make sure that all these details in the contract happen?
Yes, MassDOT assigns a resident engineer as part of the standard process for all contracts that they oversee. And it's a MassDOT resident engineer.
In this conversation, you were saying that as part of the Mass DOT process, you do take care of everything within the project reach. What Chuck was talking about is some things that may have an effect that goes beyond the project reach. You take that into account as well, right?
Yeah, and I think especially when it comes to drainage, one of the things, I guess one of the things as part of this project that benefits us a lot is that we are reducing impervious area quite a bit through the introduction of grass buffer strips. So that will help the drainage system and decrease peak flows through the outfall. So that part of that process in terms of just analyzing the drainage system by reducing the existing impervious area in the proposed condition, that helps the system. And we've talked with the town, and there are no existing kind of flooding concerns that they have throughout this project. And then the sediment removal will be completed as part of the project, and we can chase down where the outfall is just to make sure we incorporate anything there that needs to be incorporated.
And that's all good, and I applaud that. What I was trying to do is to make sure there's no loophole where things could flow down pipe and end up somewhere outside the project limits. And then you say, well, we take care of things within the project limits. This is outside, not our responsibility. So I want to be sure that we talked about the downstream effects, if in fact there are any, once you figure out where the line goes.
Yeah, and during construction, it's required that the contractor installs inlet protection at all the inlets and maintains those, keeps them up to date, and cleans them. There's a certain requirement for how often they need to be cleaned. So all potential sources where debris or material or other can go into the drainage system will be protected. And that is set up even before the contractor can do any type of work out there. So MassDOT has a pretty robust program where they install erosion controls, sediment controls, and they put a lot of requirements on the contractor to maintain a clean environment and make sure that a lot of those things don't happen.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, for full disclosure, I have a personal interest in this area that we're looking at now because about 15 years ago, the median traffic island was created. And I was a teacher at the high school, and the environmental club that I ran planted that median island. And you will see now it's mostly blooming with chives and irises, and tulips have just gone by. I would love to know when you're gonna do this project, because it looks like you're gonna dig up my traffic island and build a new one, and that new one is gonna have loam and seed. And so before that happens, I'd like to be able to retrieve some of my plantings and plant those bulbs elsewhere before the project starts. Do you have a timeline that you're expecting this will be taking place?
Yeah, right now we're anticipating the construction will start, I believe it's in the spring of 2028. We're putting some contingencies in the contract for most of the work to include outside of the school season, so during summer vacation. But 2028 is the anticipated construction start for this one right now.
But there would be a pre-kickoff meeting scheduled anyway that we would know about, so you would be.
Well, Chuck would know about. I don't necessarily know
Okay.
when they are doing the pre-construction meeting, but,
So Chuck will tell you.
yeah, but yeah, I would love to, know what's the timeline on that. Not that I want to necessarily claim possession of this island after it's been done. I think this might be a good time for me to pass it on to somebody else. But, yeah, I do want to be informed when it's gonna happen, so knowing your timeline is helpful. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
I just have visions of when they did the high school construction and the sump bags in the storm drains clogged up and the whole parking lot filled with water. So I think a condition we might want to have is if there's a really heavy rain, there needs to be somebody on site to figure out what to do if all of these things with their filter bags plug up and Birch Meadow Drive is a river.
Great.
That's it.
Any other comment?
My only concern is we clean these drains in their project area. They do that. Well, we still don't know where the water's going. So you got all this crud being loosened up. And what's gonna happen downstream is maybe there's a place where it's half plugged already, and now we're gonna fully plug it. I think we cannot ignore what's gonna happen downstream. I think we need to know where everything's going.
And that's why we asked for them to figure out where it goes downstream for exactly that reason.
Yeah.
And I think one thing on that front, and just to be transparent here, is because these are town-owned roadways, typically Mass DOT carries those items, but a lot of times we work with the local DPWs to make sure they're cleaned as part of the project, because the maintenance of the local systems are typically on the municipalities. So we can have conversations with Ryan at DPW and some of the other folks there to make sure that everything's taken care of that needs to be taken care of for the cleaning of the existing structures.
Okay. Anybody else?
Just one additional question. So around like temporary construction access and staging, are you gonna have any equipment along the areas you've identified as no work? So like the banks or within that 100-foot buffer? And if so, whereabouts are you looking for staging overnight materials?
Yeah, the contractor won't be allowed to stage within any of the buffer zones. That's pretty typical as part of the contract. Ultimately, the contractor needs to submit their plan, but there's a requirement, I believe, at the end of the day to maintain 2 lanes of traffic and parking. So I don't even imagine that anything within the project site will be used for staging. I believe it's more likely that vehicles, equipment, and materials will need to be staged off-site, or maybe some agreement with the school or someone else will happen during construction.
So following up on that, when would you expect to get that parking plan from the contractor?
So their plan for, I guess, how they will staged during construction will be developed after a contractor's been selected in court. But all of that, and just to be clear, all of that will be coordinated with the town involved because these are town-owned roadways.
Okay,
So the
who
town will
get-
be part of those decision processes.
So who has final approval on the placement of the equipment and what have you? Is that the town?
If the town has any concerns with the proposal, then their concerns are definitely a big part of the considerations. So final approval will occur between the town and the state.
Okay. Chuck, you have any?
Well, you covered a lot of these. I was gonna talk about the staging area, and I think Imagination Station might be one of them. There's a parking lot down the street, but also the school has some parking area. So I think we could only put conditions on it no matter what. So we should think about some conditions for wherever this parking staging area is going to be. The only other, one of the things I wanted to point out, Michael, is if you could point out where the 100-foot line is. I couldn't see it, but I don't think anyone who's watching tonight can see that either.
Yep. So the 100-foot wetland buffer is represented in red here. You see my hand panning up and around, and then it extends across Waverly Road, north across Oakland Road, and then kind of up to the top left of the page on the west side of Birch Meadow Drive.
All right. And then over by Whittier Road, where you're doing the improvements, you're staying within the existing sidewalk and impervious surface? Or do you need, I thought you said you needed a foot beyond the sidewalk to, you know, replace that sidewalk with the larger travel lane for pedestrians?
Yeah, our limited grading extends roughly about a foot beyond the existing sidewalk, and that's partially just to account for any minor changes in grading when they put in the new sidewalk. But the entire new sidewalk, if I zoom in here, it's a little bit tough to see, but you can see this little wedge of concrete, and then just above you'll see a gray line and then a black line to the left. So the gray line is the existing back of sidewalk, and the black line is the proposed. So the entire proposed sidewalk is within the existing sidewalk, and there's just some minor grading to level things out at the back.
Sure. And the material that you pull out of there, I'm concerned about Japanese knotweed and the tubers that may be in it. You know, I guess if you reuse it in the same location, that would be not great, but acceptable. But what are the plans for that? Do you bring that somewhere and dispose of it? Or is it reused on site?
Yeah, and Lily, correct me if I'm wrong here, but the soil within the area where invasives are present is tested for invasives, and then I believe the specs have language regarding disposal and treatment offsite. I'm not sure. I'd have to double check myself or double check the specs in terms of what that exact language is.
So if they like a visual inspection, if they see you know, whatever in the soil, then it gets bumped into a different category. It needs to be you know, taken care of as per MassDOT specs.
I might be able to provide some clarification. Do you need me to introduce myself?
Yes, please.
Okay, my name is Lily Collins. I'm with MassDOT Environmental. Like Mike said, the special provision, and forewarning, I'm not a landscape specialist. I'm in the wetlands unit. So the special provision is the invasive plant management strategy, and the contractor will be required to work with the MassDOT landscape unit to create a plan to manage the invasive species. I'm not entirely sure if the contaminated soils can be reused on site. I would have to double check, but there may be an opportunity for them to reuse it in the same location, but we certainly won't be reusing it in locations where there isn't invasives present.
And I think as part of that, it's called the IPMS, the Invasive Plant Management Strategy. That needs to be approved by MassDOT in terms of what the contractor plans on doing with the soil and whatnot, and with soil that has the presence of invasives. So that will go through an approval process in terms of how they need to handle that.
Yeah, okay, it sounds like, it's not too clear to me how it'll get taken care of. It's, usually we are used to just saying, oh, well, this area is close enough to be a concern, so we would like to have that removed, or at least not used elsewhere in site where there aren't any invasives. I heard a little bit of that, but I guess without reading more of that material, I don't know, when it's triggered and when it's not.
Yeah, we can send you the standard language. There's a couple items that we use for reference if needed that MassDOT uses on any projects with invasives.
Yeah, that would be great. I'd like to review that.
Anything else? Any last thoughts from the commission? Anybody in the room have any questions or comments?
Anyone online?
Anybody online have any questions or comments? In case I had not thought of that. Chuck reminded me.
Yeah, sure. Just use the raise hand function and we'll see your hand and let you in to discuss your question. And that raised hands function is at the bottom of the screen. Seeing none, Ryan.
Okay. So at this point, there were a number of items that came up that we asked you folks to either get an answer to or send us some information. Can we list those, please? There's whatever information there is about the trunk line and where the
outfalls.
Yeah. Then there was one on reusing soil, yes or no? Or just the general language they talked about on the standard language that they have. What else came up?
How much invasive control can be included in this project?
Yeah. Any other
Number of parking spaces.
not really?
It's in-
Okay.
Yeah, it's the only other thing that it's not a condition, but Michael, how long does this project from start to finish is this going to take?
I'm assuming you're mentioning or you're talking about construction.
Construction, yeah.
We think the majority of the work will be able to be done in one construction season, although it will probably leak into a second construction season. And the only reason for that is just there will be restrictions around closing lanes and parking when school's in session. So likely is going to be majority of work in one construction season with final touches done in the spring or early summer of the following year.
Just tell me the months of the construction season so the commission understands and anyone listening tonight.
Yep, I believe it's April through November.
Does that mean there will be disruption during the school year in April, May, September, October, November, June?
No, the contractor won't be able to do any lane closures or any disruptive work during that time period.
So since this is such a long project, I was, I think that maybe I'm just gonna get into the commissioners' heads a little bit. What makes you what made you fill out the request for a determination application in the first place? Is this predominantly road work within the existing right of way? and on existing impervious surface, so there's no new alteration. Can you go through that again, just so we don't get everyone worried knowing that it's gonna be a 2-year project?
Yep, so we filed the RDA application for work within the 100-foot wetland buffer. For this project, there are no direct impacts to the wetland areas themselves. All of the work occurs within that buffer zone. And then all of the work itself is classified under the minor activities identified by the MassDOT CMR, or not MassDOT, Massachusetts CMR. So within the regulatory compliance, all work within the buffer zone is considered minor work, which then we submit the RDA for well, and maybe Lily, you can help describe that, but we submit for an RDA because it's minor work and there aren't any major impacts to wetlands themselves or major work being done within the buffer zone.
Yeah, Michael pretty much summed it up, but we usually file these just out of an abundance of caution, and so the commission has the chance to review the project as it's in your jurisdiction. But the work does qualify under 4 of the minor exempt activities under the 310 CMR.
Sure, and you're exempt from the local regulations, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. As a state agency, we are exempt from local bylaws.
So can you tell us, under the, there's a long list of the exempt projects. What is it, 1053? So which of those letter subclauses are you using?
We're going to be using 310 CMR 10.02, 2B, 2F, 2I, 2O, and 2P.
Then again, F, I, P, and what was the other one?
Oh.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yeah, we're just actually using some of those on different projects, so.
Awesome.
So we can get back into them. Okay, Chuck, back to you.
I just was making those just to help the commission a little bit with this process.
Fair enough.
So I appreciate that. I don't have any other questions.
Okay, so we have some information to get exchanged, which seems to me like we need a continuation. Would you agree to a continuation?
Yes, we can agree to a continuation.
And how much time do you think you need for that continuation? Our next meeting is June 10th.
It's June 10th, and it's, if this matters to you, it's a fairly full agenda.
Thank
So
you.
how's the 24th sound?
No, not that it matters. I mean, the way we do it is the newest things,
Come first.
since you're on the agenda, you'll just move down as things get approved, but the newest will go in back.
So would it be okay if we put you down for the 24th?
That is okay with me. Michael, is that okay? Is that enough time for you?
Yeah, that'll be acceptable for us. Plenty of time for us to coordinate.
Okay.
And Chuck, if we were to send you any materials that we have prior to the meeting, like by email, is that acceptable? Would that be helpful?
That's absolutely acceptable.
As
We
we
do have an
prefer.
electronic distribution, so it makes it so much easier for me to get that out to the commission too.
Awesome. Okay.
And generally you want the stuff a week before the meeting, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I move that we continue this hearing to June 24th.
Walter Talbot seconds. Walter Talbot's in favor.
Is Chirag, you still with us?
In favor. Yes.
Thank you.
Tim Michelle in favor.
Rick, you in favor?
More in favor.
Brian Bowe in favor. Thank you, Michael, Lily. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Okay. That was it for our hearings for tonight. Next, we have a discussion item, a request for certificate of compliance for 1153 Main Street. Is there anybody out there for that, Chuck?
No.
Okay. So, this is a site visit that Martha and I did. The homeowners, this is Lot A Main Street.
Oh, that's not 1153. That's
Oh,
1295.
you're right, I crossed over.
Isn't
Sorry.
1153 the garage?
It is.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I didn't do a site visit to the garage. I'm sorry.
I saw that and I was just thinking the other one. Good thing you're here. Okay, so this is the garage. Chuck, do you want to do an update on this if you can?
Sure, I've been to this site a few times, but you know, it's important for the commission to see the garage was put in place, it was approved, it was given a occupancy permit in last year. And the one remaining thing that needed to happen was the trees. I'm not sure when the trees went in. I believe it was maybe before the fall of last year. And that was the only thing that was missing out of this. But I know that a few trees were asked for and they were planted and they're in good shape because I have seen them lately.
So I do think it's worth us doing a site visit. I mean, clearly I was crossing over, so maybe others want to see it as well, and probably some of you weren't even on it then. So if our business tonight is just to schedule a site visit there, that would be helpful.
Do the trees need 3-year survivability and they've only been in for a year?
Well, we can look into that. I don't think they've been in 3 years. Okay.
So are we a little premature asking for a certificate of compliance until we know they've survived 3 years?
Anyone can put in a request. It's up to the commission to entertain it. So
It is a
I don't,
consideration.
you know, one of the odd things about the Conservation and the Wetlands Protection Act, it doesn't give us the right to say no to an application if it's substantially complete. Yeah, thanks. I was gonna say compliant, but I got stuck on that. But and so, yeah, they can ask. And yes, you should go out there. I think that I thought you went out there. I think that you were talking about another site. I think they got mixed up between a couple sites. But I've been out there and I'm satisfied with what's out there. But it hasn't been 3 years.
So our next meeting is June 10th. Typically, we go the Monday before, which is June 8th.
Yeah.
Can we schedule it for June 8th?
It's fine with me.
Yeah, so I'll just move this to June 8th. You don't have to make a motion. It's not a hearing.
Okay,
Doug, do you know when they were planted? Because the application is from 2022, so that's more than 3 years, but do you know when they were actually planted?
I believe they were planted last fall,
Oh,
but if the applicant corrects me when we talk to them on the site visit, that'll be okay, but I believe it was last fall. I believe it was one of the last things that happened after the garage was built.
okay. So then moving right along, old new business, the first item there is, once again, probably for the last time, just make sure people are aware that we are looking for additional members. The volunteer committee of the town is in process these days, interviewing people who have applied or want to apply. So if you are interested, now is the time. There is a form online that you can fill out and submit. I'm not sure when the last time you could be considered is, so I know that was tortured English, but so if you do have interest, please do it right away. We do have some spots to fill, so if you did happen to have background in desirable skills, traits, backgrounds, engineering, environmental, anything, that would be good. But even putting that aside, energetic, interested people are always helpful anyway. Okay, that's it. I'm going longer on a hockey night. Next item is a reminder about the second annual Green Communities Garden Party. This is Thursday, June 18th, from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock at the Reading Public Library downstairs in the community room. And we had talked about it last time, and I said that I could be there. People were gonna check their availability, what have you. Can somebody else be joining us to man the table or whatever the appropriate term
Staff the
is?
table.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I knew that
I
was
think I
wrong.
can help.
Great. Anybody else?
Anybody else interested in?
Simple. You don't have to know much. You just have to be affable and talk to people.
I can confirm the week off. I can do the next one, the June 20th, but on Thursday I'll confirm the week off based on
Okay.
weekly.
So write it down for June 20th, but you jumped the gun. I haven't got to that yet.
Sorry.
Okay, so we have some people to staff the table at the library. That's good. Next is Friends and Family Day, June 20th. We have a table. It's provided, set up and anchored, a tent by the town. And we're looking for people to staff our facility at that point. Chirag, do you think you could?
Yes.
Oh, good. Is there anybody else who could join Chirag and anybody else at this site? This is at the Birch Meadow Fields.
I believe I told you to pencil me in the last couple meetings.
So you still pencil or is it going to a
Well,
pen?
depends on
Yeah.
Mrs.
Okay, so Rick is a maybe.
Same for me. Well, maybe not that
Joe
much.
is a maybe. Chirag, are you thinking the whole time slot, or do you want to do just morning or afternoon?
I might do morning.
So I'll be there for the setup, if only because most of the material is in my car, but I do not plan on staying the whole time.
Is it 10 to 3?
It doesn't say. That sounds about
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
from what
it's
I
usually
recall.
midday. Yeah.
Okay. I will put myself down for the afternoon then. So between Chirag and me, we could cover the day, and then if we have other help, that would be great.
If you have any ideas for things that we could have there to show, we do have a fair number of things, but most of it is reading material, books, pamphlets, and what have you. We usually have a map of Reading with the conservation areas, green space in general. So we have that. There have been other things. Martha has had a set of ink pad
Rubber
footprints.
stamps, yeah.
And we've used that. We had temporary tattoos at one point.
And
Just-
stickers. Do we still have any of the tattoos and stickers left?
I'm not sure.
Maybe they're in your car?
I might, I don't think so. I would have seen it when I
Oh.
was moving them around, but I'll double check.
Yeah.
I just have a box.
We can see if we can get some more, or there's a box in front of my desk that I have not looked into.
Okay,
And so it was from last year, so whatever's in there is
okay.
still there.
So if you have any ideas, please let people know. And that's something, well, just let Chuck know and he can distribute.
Yeah,
information.
those are all interesting things, but I mean, what's even better are wetland in a jar, solar oven, invasives, like just go out and grab some and bring them over and identify them and let people look at them, put a book next to it. Stuff like that, a map, so they can see where they are and we can talk about, you know, what they're close to and how to get some volunteers to help. So those things are also cool. So. Anything else, Brian?
Actually, I don't think so. Do you have the actual agenda up? I wanted to didn't print the last page.
Yeah, conservation monthly meeting is June 2nd.
Go ahead. I don't have it in front of
And
me.
then we don't have any new violations, and then it's the administrative report, and so that's me. And so it's been an unusual couple of weeks. I've got a lot of inquiries about tree permits and from a whole host of different people. And I wanted to kind of have this as a informational session so we can all talk. I'm expecting you to ask questions, but also to answer anything that that you know about the tree permit. So when anyone wants to, so we have a couple of ways to remove trees in town. And so, you know, first off, you need to know that you're within our jurisdiction. And what will help you is most of the tree companies will let you know that. We've been working with the tree companies forever. There was a time when we weren't so lucky, but now it's everyone knows that the Conservation Commission wants to know if you're taking down a tree in our jurisdiction, and they'll tell people. And so when they tell people, they'll give me a call. I point them to the town website, and what you want to do is you want to go from the town website to the Conservation Division page. And on the Conservation Division page, you want to look at the upper left-hand column, and it says application for conservation wetland permits. And so we go from that and we start looking for tree permits. When you hit the tree permits, you'll find out that it's an online permit. It's clustered with some other permits that we have are also online for the community gardener, the tree removal permit, and minor project permits. All of these are online. Payments are online. And in my opinion, they're real easy to fill out because it's like a tiered system. It's like a ladder. You ask a question, if you answer it, you get to move on to the next question, you answer it. Some of the things we put in there is I need pictures. So we don't let you move on unless you upload a picture. We need a map. We don't let you move on unless you upload a plan, a sketch, or a map. So once all that information is in, and I recommend anyone looking for a tree removal permit to call me up first. Never mind, I never have a problem with anyone calling me and talking about a project. My time is best served helping everyone in this community with the things they don't understand. This is so easy for the Conservation Commission and myself. We do it every day 24/7. So if you call me up, we can talk over your project. I can look at it on the town's GIS. I can let you know how to fill out the application and to create a map. And then when you finally get through it by taking your own pictures, and these pictures that you take, you should look at them, because if you're sending me pictures of a bunch of trees, that's all I'm going to see. You either need to circle the tree you're talking about or take a picture that actually describes what you're saying. This tree has a damaged area. Show that in the picture, point to it somehow. And when all that's uploaded and you hit send, it comes to my desk. If we've talked about it, I can usually sign off relatively quickly, within a day. And if it's not something that I've looked into or know about, I sometimes reach out to the applicant or have to do a site visit or a drive-by. So that will slow down the process. Our requirements are quite easy. Up to 4 trees can be removed. I can approve up to 4 trees. If you're over 4 trees, or you're on the bank or within the 25-foot area, it's my call that you need to go to the Conservation Commission. Sometimes I approve those myself. Usually the ones that are located on the bank of a stream, I let the commission manage that situation, because the banks are very intricate habitat, and you have to really understand what's going on. So I want the commission to look at that. I'm not saying I don't know what's going on, but I just think it's a good step to move those into the commission's hand, and I don't take those on myself. So if you have 4 trees that are in the buffer zone and outside the 25-foot area, just fill out the application, and I usually go out and check, and then I approve it. What you need to do is pick one of one of three process. You need to, for mitigation, you need to leave a stump, which we call a snag, 10 to 15 foot tall. And that's part of our regulations because a lot of people have these very long and extended lots that go deep into the woods. And if you could leave a snag out there in the woods and it would never fall onto your property where people are walking, it's a good option. Snags are very habitat friendly. They can become nesting areas. They could become food for woodpeckers, whatnot. And so we like them standing up. That is a responsibility that stays in perpetuity. So if you leave a snag, it will be there until it decays. The second option is to plant a tree for a tree of each one you take down, or two shrubs that'll grow to 5 feet at maturity for each tree you take down. There's 3 shrubs that don't grow to 5 feet at maturity for each tree you can take down, but that's in the regulations. So you can plant your way out of this also. And then finally, if you feel like, you know what, I just want to get rid of the tree, I've dealt with that for a while, I like the third option, and the third option is to donate to our conservation tree fund, and the Conservation Commission will use that money to towards trees and to plant trees elsewhere in town. And so that works. As for contractors, they have to pay for every tree at $250 a tree, or the commission will come to an agreement. Contractors usually have to come to a conservation meeting, but for homeowners, it's $250 a tree, capped at $500. So that's pretty much the process. And right now, the checks are coming to town hall, but they can also be paid for online when you do this process. So it should be pretty seamless. We try to make it quick. But what I want to emphasize is if anyone's out there with a tree that they think is dangerous, we can catch up with the paperwork later. You know, a danger tree is pretty obvious to everyone. It's got a cavity in it, it's falling towards your house, it's in an area where people walk. If a tree company's come out there and said it's dangerous and you're worried about it, there's no need to wait for a permit. We allow you to take those dangerous trees down, but you do need to fill out a permit once that emergency is gone. And so you would contact us, or you would have contacted us already, because the tree company said they're not doing anything until you contact the conservation office. But again, our policy is to allow any dangerous trees to come down prior to permits. If you think it's fine, or if you think it's something that you want to do, or the tree company recommends it. Most time what we find out, if it's not a dangerous tree, and those don't come up too much, and from what I've been here since 2011, and they haven't come up too much. But usually what I hear is the tree company says it's dangerous, and they have us on their schedule, and they'll be back in a month and a half. So that's different. We have a 3-day permit here. You can definitely get your permit before they get back in a month and a half. So that's the rundown as far as what conservation. So if I've missed anything, please add. If you have any questions, add to that. If there's something I've missed that you think that someone in Reading, a resident in Reading would like to know, add that also.
I'd like to stress 2 things. One is, it certainly is better to contact Chuck and handle it the right way, as opposed to having a situation after the fact where we have to come in and look at an area that's already had trees cut, some cut, and then have to deal with it from an enforcement perspective. Much better to talk to Chuck up front. What was the other thing I wanted to say? It'll come back to me. Anybody else have any comments or anything on this?
Does the tree removal permit still allow somebody to select 50 trees?
No.
So they've
You'd
changed
have to,
that.
so 50 trees, something like 50 trees,
No, no,
actually.
I'm saying like on that online website, when I did it,
Mhm.
I could keep on scrolling. 50, maybe even more trees. Is there a way for the Reading's IT department to create some dynamic interface that if you select 4 or maybe stop at 5 notification pops up that says, please contact Chuck Tyrone. It may require additional steps like an RDA or something like that.
All right. That's a good idea. I didn't know that that happened. Obviously, I'm on the other end of the process, but I can look into that.
Yeah, and you asked, did it change? What we did fairly recently was clarify to handle this question, which came up about how many can I cut? If we're doing this kind of a tree policy thing, it's up to 4.
Yeah.
But I was just more referring to the.
So 5 trees or more, even without that, little section that pops up, just gets denied. I usually reach out. Our system is interactive, so it's reaching out to the applicant. So if I just write a comment, we can only approve up to 4 trees, any 5 trees. I like to talk to them because their tree is a tree to everyone. So I like to talk to the people because sometimes they're counting 2 trees that are dead or what we would call dead. So now it's really only 2 trees or 3 trees and 2 dead trees. So.
What is the size definition of a tree?
Yeah, so we have, just in our regulations, we have 6 inches and up. So if they're cutting down, like the rest is clearing. So clearing is covered under a notice of intent or an RDA, and it's clearing your lot. So you can't get this fast track to clear the lots. So saplings to right up to just under 6 inches would be considered clearing the lot, and it needs a permit.
When you say 6 inches, you mean diameter,
Yeah,
not height.
DBH, yeah, so if you could, just do that, it would be about 6 inches. So it's a pretty good sized tree. It's been there a while. It's established. It might even be 15 years old, 10, 15 years old. So the tree's been there a while. So,
I did remember my other point in my time on the commission, which is much less than his. One of the things we hear when we go to site is that I didn't know it was on my property. I thought I could cut a tree if it was on my property. And the answer is yes or no. The no part is if it's in the wetlands jurisdiction, then even though it's on your property, the wetlands jurisdiction holds sway. So if you're not sure, contact Chuck, but if it's within our various buffers, it needs a permit or to be removed. Any other points? Okay, we'll put that to bed. I do have it up now, so I'm all set, Chuck. So next thing then, are minutes for approval. We'll have one. We got that last Thursday. So can I have a motion to approve the minutes for 5/13?
I did send Chuck and Emily a email with a couple of corrections in those minutes.
can I get something in here just real quick? I forgot to add this. So once you use the tree policy, you can't use it again for 3 years. But if you need to take a tree down, that only means that you have to go through the normal process. And the normal process is an RDA. And so you would come into the commission. So you can use that for trees, the way it's written, every 3 years. So the reason why we did this is because the commission was just approving trees, and everyone would have to come in and do the abutter notification, and that's $325 now. And then we'd go out to their property, they'd come in. So it's a lot of time and a lot of money spent on getting a yes anyways. So that's why we started the policy, because it seemed like 4 less trees would always get a positive determination or a negative determination, but a positive review by the Conservation Commission and approved. So we're just cutting through the red tape with our tree policy here, and this has gone through several different iterations of the commissioners, and each one still likes working with it because I haven't heard any complaints.
Yeah, I had 2 amendments as well.
Okay, and did you send them to Chuck?
Sent it to Emily and Chuck.
Perfect, because Emily will not be making those changes. So Chuck, can you do the amendments to this set of minutes? And then Carrie will be taking over doing tonight's minutes
In June.
and the June minutes.
Carrie is my youngest daughter.
Okay,
You wouldn't know
so,
her name.
so none of us have to volunteer to do the minutes. Yay! Okay, so with that, did anybody else have any corrections to the minutes?
Doesn't matter. I mean,
Okay.
they submit.
All right, I move that we approve the May 13th minutes as amended.
Walter Talbot seconds. Walter Talbot's in favor.
Chuck Stilicho in favor.
Tim Michelle in favor.
Makito in favor.
Martha Moore in favor.
Brian Bowe in favor. One last topic before we adjourn.
I have one too, so, yeah,
Mine's probably better.
penultimate.
But, so yesterday, Martha and I supported a field trip from the Barrow School to Millet, Soms and Morgan. It was the 5th graders, I believe. There's quite a bunch of them. Teachers, we did not lose any, which is always a positive. There were a number of different stations. They did rubbings of leaves. They heard some wonderful stuff about constructed wetlands and watersheds in general. Chuck joined us this year to talk to them about why the stones are there under the various bridges. Part of it was education, part of it was encouraging them not to use those as skipping stones or anything. What's the other state? Oh, there's one on invasives.
Yep.
And then on.
Tree identification.
Yes, and then there was one, a great one on basically a demonstration they could work with on how wetlands work. How there was a container with muddy water and things in it, and to show how it filters through and how the water coming out the bottom is better.
Cleaner.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but especially, and Chuck might want to explain this in his own words, but he was explaining to the kids why the rocks under the bridges make a shallow area for the water flowing from pond to pond to get filtered before it goes to the next pond and out into the Aberjona. So we don't want channels under the bridges. We want the comb to comb out all the debris that's coming downstream.
And yeah, that was pretty good. I was, that was my talk. I was just about leaving the river stones in place, and if you see someone making a channel and you felt like throwing a rock, it would be good to throw it in the channel, because it's, you know, intuitive to think that, hey, let's create a channel to let the water flow from one pond to another, but that's not the process that we're trying to do. We're trying to settle out the particulates. We're trying to pick up the solids, and, you know, in this case, since we're, you know, we're trying to pick up beer cans and Coke cans and, you know, bags and whatnot. And so those river stones that are above the deep pools pick that up because it's at the top. So that's what I was talking about. They all seemed interested. I got a couple questions, and I have some great ideas for next year, but it was good afternoon, and they all seem to like it. And they're not only were the kids very enthusiastic, but so were the teachers and the principal. So it was a good day.
And for anyone who noticed that there was a portable toilet there, starting on Friday, it will be going away this Friday. And it was funded by the Barrows PTO for the use of the students on the field trip, but it was also appreciated by people who were walking there over Memorial Day weekend.
Okay, Chuck.
And no, I found my answer, so I'm good.
Any update on the plantings, water and crew, Bear Meadow?
I've asked to have the water set up again. I need to get some people to say, yes, I'll help you drag out the hoses and set them up, and we can do that at any time. I mean, because that can happen before the water set up. Yeah.
Carl able to get new plants?
He sent out an email. I didn't see a reply. So that's as far as he got. So I'm gonna say it's not a slam dunk. But I'll reach out to Carl again and see what's gonna happen. We want to replant those, so I think Brian was working on a budget, and we're gonna have some money in that budget to purchase some plants. And I don't even, if we have to cover what we lost, we're not gonna be planting a new garden, so that's where we're at.
Is that the one up top?
What's that?
Is that the one up top near the,
Well, yeah, we lost the azaleas throughout, and that's probably what we're not gonna plant again, but what we wanted to have the warranty for.
Okay, any last topics? Then can I have a motion to adjourn at
9:14.
9:14?
I move to adjourn at 9:13.
Walter Talbot seconds, Walter Talbot's in favor.
All in
Chirag
favor?
second. Oh, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
And then-
Yeah, the last one, we just do. Just raise hands.
Speaking of snags as habitat,
Oh, wait a minute.
you have one more?
still on?
Yeah, Mahan, 1295 Main Street, whatever happened to that?
Are they here?
Yeah, she just reached out to my,
Oh, it was confusing because you were talking 11:53 and then you skipped over 12:95. Can we unadjourn?
Yep.
We should.
yeah. All right, so make a formal statement there, Brian.
Yes, so there was a topic that